Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Health Made Simple show. I'm your host, Dr. Bart, and today a great conversation. We're going to talk about what it means to cross your health bridge. Crossing your health bridge has a lot of different meanings, but the biggest meaning is this: that where we are with our journey of health, that there's another side, there's another place that often we want to get to. And in order to get there, we're going to need a bridge. We'll do a deep dive on what that bridge means and really how it applies to really not just our health, but really our health, our wealth, and our relationships, knowing that there's a better version of ourselves. Not to say the one that we have right now isn't good, but there's always a better version of ourselves. And in order to get there, we're going to have to go to some unknown territory. So we're going to do a little deep dive in that. Before we get started, though, I just want to again thank everyone for being here and participating in the Health Made Simple show. If you can, keep doing your thing, keep sharing it out, keep spreading the love. And also, wherever you love to listen to your podcasts, whether you're on Spotify, iTunes, Apple, whatever it may be, if you have an opportunity, we'd love it if you went there and gave us a 5-star rating, give us some comments, give us some feedback. If you have questions, go ahead and put them there. We'll always answer those, and we appreciate all that you do for that. Anytime you do that, it gives us a little bit better rankings. It gives us an opportunity to essentially spread the health and spread this knowledge to other people. So thank you once again. All right, let's do a little deep dive. What does it mean to cross the health bridge? And this is a great conversation, and obviously it's a little bit of an analogy, yet it's a real one. It's one of the ones that has to happen, and I think this is going to apply for any one of us who happens to find a little bit of a sticking point. You get to a certain level and maybe you've made some changes and that there's another level. And here's what the fun thing is. For every one of us, there's another level. Absolutely, positively. There's a better version of ourselves sitting in a different place, which means that ultimately we're going to have to be and do something different than we are currently doing right here, right now. So that's really the analogy of the bridge. And as we do a little deep dive here, I think you'll see the importance of understanding that a bridge is going to be needed. Oftentimes, especially at this point, man, I'm pushing almost 30 years in the healthcare industry. It's not uncommon, especially now that I'm out, around the country, doing my speaking tour and speaking to so many different people. It's not uncommon that I will ask people, even in the audience or even in my office, "Are you healthy?" And it's very interesting, the conversations that happen right after that, because health has a different meaning for all of us. And when I ask that question, people kind of stumble. They're not sure. Even though the goal might be to become healthier, they don't even know if they're currently healthy. So I want to give us a little bit of a definition today, and this will help you understand what bridges you may or may not have to cross in order to become the better version of you. And that better version, who knows? Maybe you're just literally, you feel better. Maybe you've lost some weight. And again, it could be any category: your health, your wealth, relationships, but this bridge is going to apply. So let's give a couple definitions here too. At this point forward, if you think about, am I healthy? Am I doing what it takes to become a healthier human being? We'll boil it down to this. From this point forward, when you think about being a healthy human being, ask yourself a very simple question. Am I doing something currently to help optimize how I move, how I eat, and how I think? So those three categories right there, we could boil all of our health down to those categories: how you move, how you eat, and how you think. And then just simply ask yourself, maybe this year relative to last year, are you moving better? Are you doing things actively that are bridging the gap between where you are, where you were a year ago, and to where you are now, or where you want to go? Are you doing things with your diet? Are you doing things with the way that you think? So with those in mind, are you optimizing your health? Now let's talk about the role that different health bridges play. It is very common that when I'm asking people, how are you doing with your health? Like, are you healthy? You're taking care of yourself. Here's the most common. It's almost as if I could pre-play a recorder and you would hear these words coming out. "Doc, I'm doing the best I can." That comes out I'd say at least 50% of the times. I'll ask someone, "Hey, how you doing with your health? You taking care of yourself?" "Doing the best I can." It's very common. The other one that would probably make up the other 50%, or maybe collective, these are 90% of the responses I get. The other one would be, "I'm doing pretty good." So the best I can and pretty good. And here's what I know about both of those. Neither one of those are going to help you optimize your life. Neither one of those are going to get you to where you are thriving. They're going to get you comfortable. And this is the big difference here. When we are just doing pretty good or doing the best I can, that means you are staying in a certain comfort zone. the idea of crossing a bridge, getting on a bridge and getting to the other side will require you to become a bit uncomfortable. And that's one of the challenges. But it's also one of the exciting parts of knowing that if you allow yourself to start to get uncomfortable, if you start to tiptoe in a direction that you don't know, that you're unfamiliar with, that's when you know change inevitably is on its way. So what I often people see when it comes to diet, let's just talk about that for a moment. How many eat? I'll ask the question, how you doing with your nutrition? You keeping it clean? "Oh, I'm doing the best I can. Oh, I'm doing pretty good." Which means for the most part, they're doing exactly what they did last week, the week before, the month before, the year before. And maybe last Friday when they went out, instead of getting a burger and fries, they get a burger and salad. And therefore they're doing pretty good. And we both know that that is not going to move the needle. That's not going to optimize anything. That's not going to get you to be the best version of yourself. That's not going to be the one that's going to be the game changer for you. And especially when I think deep down, every single one of us knows, and I keep discovering this year after year after year, that there's a version of you that's freaking awesome. And possibly you're not that version yet, but you know it's hiding within you. And it's kind of scary because that version is going to require you to do some things that are going to be super uncomfortable. And when I say cross that bridge and get to the other side, there's a lot of things on the other side that are uncomfortable and unfamiliar. You know, number one thing that's on the other side is people. The current people you're with right now, the ones that you are eating with, the ones that you're hanging out with, the ones that you do or do not socialize with or exercise, they're keeping you in your comfort zone. They're not intentionally doing it, but you're all together because it's comfortable to be there. But for you to grow, for you to become the better version of yourself, whether it's with your health, whether it's with your wealth or your relationships, you're going to have to get uncomfortable. And one of the things that keeps us so comfortable is the people around us. So, for example, let's just say that on Friday nights, you go out and you go to a bar and you're hanging out with other people at the bar. Most likely, the comfortable thing is that you're going to have cocktails. That's what people do at bars. But let's just say for a moment that you decide not to go to the cocktail. Instead, you go to a yoga studio. What will you do at the yoga studio? You'll probably do yoga. So where you're putting yourself is going to have a huge factor in what kind of results you're going to get. And that can be very, very uncomfortable. Am I saying that you have to get rid of people in your lives? No, but you might have to have and create new relationships and new associations. Here's one of the things about the health bridge. Almost always, to make significant changes, you're going to have to do something. And this is probably the crux of this particular podcast today. In order for you to make shift, to make changes happen, you're going to have to hunker down. Something significant is going to happen. And when it comes to health, what do I mean by that? There's going to be moments that you're going to need, whether it's a 10-day cleanse or a 30-day carnivore challenge or a whole 30 type challenge. You're going to have a moment where you say, you know what, I'm eliminating alcohol for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. You have to have these hunker down moments. You cross the bridge, you get to the other side, and you have an experience. You say, wow, look what happened when I gave up alcohol for 8 weeks. Not like 2-3 weeks, I don't even think 30 days is enough, but often we have to have a little bit of time involved here. So you have the experience. So once you go to the other side, you now have an experience. Go, wow, okay, I haven't experienced this before. This is pretty good. And you start to make a little checklist. I like the way that I sleep. I like the way that I feel. I like the way that I'm moving today. I like the fact that I have less pain in my body. I'm a little bit less inflamed. It is not uncommon after we have that experience that we walk our butts back across the bridge and go back into our comfort zone because it's easy. It's familiar. And this is the path I see so many of us on when it comes to our health. I've been on that same path myself. At some point, you're going to have to cross the bridge and burn the bridge down. And I'll get to that in just a moment. But there's a lot of little things along the way here. So maybe for you, you have to make a commitment. And I'll tell you what, there's a couple ways it's going to be successful and a couple ways it's not going to be successful. If you say, I'm going to do a better job, I'm going to do a little bit better this year on my diet, I'm going to do a little better, I'm going to drink a little less alcohol. Those won't work. They're not going to move the needle. You might do a little bit of a better job, but the impact that it's going to have, is it going to be a needle changer? Is it going to move the needle enough that you're then inspired to continue on with that action? Most likely the answer is no. You'll kind of sputter and putter. How do I know this? Because I've been doing this for a long time. I'm inching up and almost 30 years in practice, and I watch these habits and patterns, and I'm not immune to them either. I've recognized it over time that I've needed bridges to cross. 10-day challenges, 30-day challenges, commit to none of this anymore, and get to the other side and have the experience of maybe different associations, maybe different exercise programs, maybe new memberships, maybe new coaches, maybe new sets of labs, whatever that is. So maybe your bridge is that you do a set of labs that we're happy to do them for you. You do a set of labs that gives you more information to kick your butt into gear. Maybe it is that you go spend money on a personal trainer. You go spend money on a gym membership and you just don't want to lose your money. So you're going to utilize those things. We need to cross that bridge. And listen, there are some bridges that eventually I pray that all of you will start to burn down. I've burned down a couple bridges myself, and I mean this in a good way, not in a negative way. Some of the bridges I've burned down are the ones I burnt my alcohol bridge. Never going back. Don't need to. I can comfortably say at this point, there's no room for alcohol in my life anymore. You've heard me talk about it before. Alcohol is a poison. It always is a poison. It will act as a poison. I think everyone that gets rid of alcohol in their life, I don't know anyone, literally anyone I know that's eliminated alcohol out of their life and regrets it. I know that sounds silly, but think about that for yourselves. Are there things in your lives? Let's take sugar, for example. I've also eliminated that. I burnt that bridge as well. No more sugar for me. Why? When I've been on the other side of it, I've gone absolutely without sugar for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And my body feels so much better. I have so much less joint pain, so much more aches and sores in my body. My brain works so much better that because I spent some time on the other side of the bridge, and I've gone back to the sugar, and then, man, this is awful. I don't want to have this. And I go back and forth a couple times. And this is not uncommon that people have to experience this back and forth. But eventually, you spend enough time on the other side of the bridge, you burn that bridge down. And eventually, you're done with it. And listen, unfortunately, here's part of the reason I'm sharing this message today. Unfortunately, many people don't burn the bridge until there's such a risk factor involved, like their health is at risk, their life is at risk, they've got a diagnosis, they've got some boogly wiggly disease that is staring them in the face, and they knew all along that they needed to do this, they needed to cross this bridge, but they don't do it until there's something hanging in the balance that could be life-threatening. And I mean that. Like there could be there could be some kind of disease or dysfunction taking place in the body where this is the thing that now they have to burn that bridge. I'm going to pray, and hopefully you hear this listening to this today, that it sits into you in some place somehow that listen, you've been thinking about the better version of yourself. What if you gave up the alcohol? What if you gave up the wasted time on, I don't know, whether it be social media or porn, or maybe you're eating emotionally, putting sugar in your body, putting these processed food, the chips, the pastas, the breads, the muffins, and all this stuff that just doesn't serve you. What if you burnt that bridge? What if you went to the other side and you just hardlined it, said no? In the back of your brain, you're already thinking, yeah, that would be awesome. What would it take to do that? Here's a couple of things. I'll give you some tips on some things that I know that will certainly support you, and most likely you're going to need them in order to do it. One, I've kind of mentioned this already, the associations you have in life, the people around you. This could be everything from your spouse to your family, to your friends, to your coworkers. That environment that you're in is going to have a major influence on how you move, how you eat, and how you think. You need to improve those associations. Again, I'm not telling you to get rid of people, but I'm telling you add in situations and associations people, whether they're coaches, they're doctors, they're accountability partners, they're gym memberships, they're personal trainers, they're coaches, they're a chef, something somehow that levels up your associations so you can burn that bridge and never look back on it again. The other part of this is this accountability, 100%. We all need accountability. That's one of the things I love the most about like different programs. We recently ran a 30-day level up carnivore challenge. And in that, there's accountability. There's a big group. Everyone's leaning into the same direction. Everyone wants to kind of have success together. So we lean in together. Of course, I had the opportunity to facilitate it. So it puts even more pressure on me. Although that's the pressure that's needed. It's uncomfortable. And there's accountability. And guess what? That's when you get the best results. If you're trying to go at this alone always, and you're trying to do a little better, best you can, under the current circumstances. Hear those words that you're using. Listen to them, because there within those are the answers that we need to make the leap of faith. And that means to get to the other side of that bridge, you're going to have to allow yourself to get super uncomfortable, cross over, experience the other side, make a note of it, check of it. How did you feel? What benefited you? Like literally, were you losing weight? Were you feeling better? Were you thinking a little bit better? Did you have a little bit better opportunity during the day to move your body? Whatever it may be, make check of those. And then at some point, hopefully, you literally burn the bridge. I joke about it, but I also love the fact that I can say now that I have burnt my alcohol bridge down. I will not go back to alcohol. I have no desire for it in my life. And the only reason I say that so lightly and so easily is because those of you who knew me in my past, alcohol is a big part of my life, just like it is for many people. And so being able to get rid of it and recognize it for what it is, and I'm not trying to beat up on alcohol or anything like that yet. We all do know that it's a poison for the body. And because so often some of the things that I work with are people that have issues with sleep, issues with weight gain, issues with, brain fog and stuff. Sometimes we say, listen, we got to stop putting crap into our bodies. And when you start to burn those bridges, no more crap allowed, then you start to experience the other side of the bridge, which is the other side, which is the version of you that's most likely a better, more productive, a lot more vitality, a lot more energy. So my question to you all as you're listening to this, have you crossed your health bridge? There's probably many of them. Which one do you know you have to cross next? And that's one I want to sit with today. I love this conversation. I love thinking about it. I love talking about it myself. I think there's a couple left. I can tell you some that I'll be honest with you that I haven't crossed. I've not crossed, let's just say when it comes to my nutrition, I still haven't crossed the potato chip bridge. I'll still find those into my life and into my diet. And I kind of chuckle when I do it because it never serves me. I never feel better. It never helps me move toward my goals. All it does is allows me to get into a comfort zone for a moment, a little bit of a surrender. And the truth is, no one's really going to hold me accountable, but I know. I've been on the other side of that bridge. I know what it feels like. I know what it feels for my body, my mind, my intentions, my personal kind of fortitude when it comes to be able to displace the temporary comfort. Right? So we're giving up comfort on the short end. And that's all these things are. All these things that we think we're going to miss out on if we give up the birthday cake. When little Johnny's birthday comes around and you say, no, I'm good, you don't want a cake. You think that as a result of that, you're not going to enjoy your family or enjoy Johnny's birthday. Well, I tell you what, that's a big lie we make up in our own brains. That's a lie. You think that if you take alcohol in your life, that you're not going to have as much fun in your life. And that's a big lie as well. And it's interesting how we tell ourselves these lies. And the only reason we tell them is because we haven't been on the other side of that bridge. So I'm going to encourage all of you to hunker down. See what bridge you have to cross. See what program you have to join. See what accountability you have to have. See what kind of coach you have to hire. See what kind of labs you have to run. Whatever it takes for you to burn that bridge down, the one that doesn't serve you, and get to the other side. Because I promise you, on the other side, there's a version of you that you've probably never experienced before. Not probably. Most of us have absolutely no idea what the best version of ourselves. I've shared many times in the podcast here, the version of me at 54 is a hell of a lot better than the version of me at 42. I'm 12 years older and I'm much physically more fit. I'm much healthier. My mind works better. My body works better. My brain works better. All the above. And that's because I've burnt down a lot of bridges between 42 and 54. And were they comfortable? Hell no. Were a lot of them a lot of work? Yes. And along the way, are you going to have some failures? Are you going to slip and slide? Yes, you are. It's just the fact that you have the experience of going in the other side. That's the value here. All right. Hopefully you enjoyed this podcast. Keep doing anything. Keep sharing it out. I'd love to hear your comments. Would love it if you left a 5-star review on anywhere that you love to listen to your podcast. And I look forward to seeing you back here at the next Health Made Simple show. You all have a great day.